I wish that we could turn that on and then click a button in Time Machine's preferences to say download and put all of this stuff onto my external drive automatically. And then as it sees changes, just download the copy and put it on the hard drive. We don't need to put it actually on the Mac. We just want to make sure that it's backed up.
Welcome to Macpreneur, the show for seasoned solopreneurs looking to streamline their business on a Mac. Unlock the secrets to saving time and money with your host and technology mentor, Damien Schruers.
Hello. Today I have the pleasure to introduce Shawn Lemon. Shawn is the founder of The Digital Organizer and has spent the last 17 years helping individuals and businesses get better at using their technology. A teacher at heart, Shawn believes that the biggest reason people struggle with their tech is because of a lack of understanding of the tools, which isn't surprising because they're constantly changing as technology advances. When not helping businesses operate more efficiently, Shawn loves making pottery, riding motorcycles, and spending time with his wife, Madeline, and their 2-year-old son, Nico. Shawn, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the show. When we talked in the pre-show, I realized we started our businesses almost at the same time. So you started 2014 and started in 2013. And so let's jump right into the main topic. Which Mac are you using today to run your business?
Yeah, I'm running the 2020 M1 MacBook Air, the total baseline $999 MacBook. I actually bought it as an experiment because everyone was talking about how incredible it was. And I went from a very expensive iMac that was loaded up to this just as an experiment. And it did so good, I just kept it in production, gave the iMac to another employee, got a monitor, and I've been using it ever since. And it's about time for a new one.
Yeah, I noticed as well. I still have my 2020 iMac, still an Intel Mac. Yeah. But when I bought my MacBook Pro, I noticed immediately the difference. And so you have a MacBook Air. Do you have an external monitor as well?
I do. It's a 34-inch ultra-wide Samsung. So it's got charging, so it puts out like 80 watts to charge the bigger MacBook Pros and such. So it's a nice one. I've enjoyed it.
Is it a curved one or the flat one?
It is slightly curved, yeah.
So
I kind of want to size down again and get 4K for just a little bit sharper, but every once in a while it's nice to have it big. I go back and forth wanting to focus more and then wanting to have more on the screen at once.
And do you still use your MacBook Air screen as a secondary screen, or is it just in clamshell mode?
It's in clamshell mode, and it's in a vertical stand that I slip behind the screen, so it's nice and clean what I'm looking at.
Very good. So you mentioned an iMac before. What was your first Mac? When did you start?
My first Mac was it was a PowerPC. What was it? The Mac Pro. No, what was it called? A Power Mac. PowerPC Power Mac. And I got it in 2005, actually. It was pretty well loaded. I got it for an internship doing video editing and learning Avid and everything like that. So I needed something powerful. And I got a nice cinema display. And between those two, I was set up and styling.
Yeah, I remember the cinema display. I didn't have one, but I had a few clients who had it. Yes, it was a nice screen. First, one of the nice screen at the time.
You know, it was actually how I got into this in the first place. So that monitor had a few dead pixels. And it's a $1,200 monitor, whatever, even in 2005, very expensive. So I was moving from California to Tennessee, and I grew up in Las Vegas. And so I ended up stopping in Las Vegas because there was an Apple store there, and I was going to spend a few days with my family before moving over to the other side of the country. And I was at the Apple store dropping off the monitor to get that pixel replaced. And as I was sitting at the Genius bar, I was just overhearing the conversation the technician was having with a customer who is asking the technician about something in iPhoto, this question in iPhoto. And he gave an answer that was completely wrong. And I thought, wait a second, that's not how iPhoto works. Like, you can do that, but if you continue down that path, you're gonna be unhappy because that's not the way it was really designed to work. And I don't remember exactly what it was. It was something between events and albums. And it just made me think, maybe I could do this job because I clearly know the software inside and out. I know the product line inside and out. I just completely obsessed over it because I was young and had an internship, so I had time on my hands. And so when I moved to Nashville, a few months later, I ended up getting hired for the iPhone launch, and I worked there for 7 years
Wow.
almost. Yeah.
It was so. Did you also have the long queues every September?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, every September, and I mean, it would stretch outside. There were people camping, the whole thing. It was a lot of fun. Launch days were really fun, except for the 3G launch. And luckily, I had that day off, which is rare that you get a day off on a launch day. But I think I should just work 10 days in a row or something. In just how it worked with weekends, that they couldn't schedule me. So, and it turned out to be a disaster. So I was happy not to be there for that one.
Yeah. Now let's switch gear a little bit in terms of applications. So
Yeah.
which applications are you using now to run your business?
Yeah. So the core of my business is all run off of Google Workspace. And while I use Spark for my email app, and that's how I like to communicate with my team. And so I'll share a message with them. That way we can have a conversation without actually emailing each other. Use templates and all kinds of stuff. So I love that app. And then I've created web apps using Chrome's shortcut feature to create as a sort of app for Google Calendar, for contacts, Asana, Pipedrive, Freshdesk, ChatGPT, and then I actually have 1Password installed. I use Dialpad for my VoIP. I use Zoom for all of my calls, Spotify for music, and my webcam is an Opal C1. And that's the core stack of apps that I use.
Yeah, it took a while for Apple with Safari to bring the same capability to convert a website into a web app. But I
Yeah.
think
Hmm.
now that you talk about that, I don't think that in any of the episodes that I have had so far, a guest has mentioned this
Hmm.
capability in Chrome. We have talked a few
Yeah.
times about Chrome profiles, also the ability to have different Google
Right.
accounts completely
Oh yeah.
separated. But so the idea of converting a website into an app, is it, if I recall correctly, is it in the three dots in the top right corner? Then you go to
That's right.
save as app or something like that. There is a
They changed it, and now it says, is it under more tools? Cast, save, and share is the
okay,
menu, and then you choose install page as
okay.
app. So that's the new
Mhm.
terminology for it, and it works really well. My calendar, it used to change so fast because I was very appointment based, and we allowed people to reschedule, or in someone book same day and stuff, as I was traveling around the city working for people in their homes and businesses, that I just had to switch to the web app and interface from there because Fantastical just didn't update
Mhm.
fast enough. And it's better than Apple Calendar, but Fantastical, it still wasn't accurate. So I needed 100% accuracy. So I switched to using the web apps. And then Google Contacts doesn't work with Apple Contacts properly. I've never gotten it to work right on my clients. It works at first, and then all of a sudden, a week later, you go and update a content, and then it just reverts right back to what it was
Mhm.
before. So now I use Contacts as a web app as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah. So I'm I'm not using that with Google Chrome. I'm using the same capability with Edge for some reason. So because
Uh
Microsoft
huh.
Edge now is based on Chromium, so they have implemented
Okay.
the same technology. And yeah, for my company, for EasyTech, I have voice over IP. So my
Uh-huh.
landline, so the business landline, is not. I don't have any physical phone, and so
Right.
it's a web app, and
Same.
I think it's just for that. So I went into Microsoft Edge, logged in, created as a web app, and now I just launched the
Hmm.
web app. But to come back to
Hmm.
what you said, the reason why you use it, and is because that's for more for the listeners. When you access the web app, there is no synchronization.
Yeah,
You are on the server, you are on
that's
Google
right.
server. So whatever change you make it to the source, right? And afterwards,
Yeah.
it gets
Yeah.
synchronized to your iPhone, the iPad, the Mac, and so on.
Hmm.
And so this is the reason
Yeah.
why using the web app is better in your case, in that case.
Yeah. And it's just I don't like
Mm,
troubleshooting. And apps have
mm,
bugs and things go wrong. And the most reliable thing is usually the
mm,
website. Asana's app kind of sucks. ChatGPT, you don't get all of the features in the app as you do in the web browser. And so now they've got these new groups that you can create. And now there's the opportunity to actually edit and refine a prompt without having to regenerate the whole thing in a new response, and that's still in beta. In some conversations it works and some doesn't, but you only get that in the
mm.
web app. So if you want it ultra reliable, you don't like troubleshooting, going straight to the web is nice. But when I got 4 different email accounts I'm monitoring, I don't want to do that in 4 separate Chrome tabs, so that's why I use an app for it.
And yeah, to come back to the compatibility or the lack of compatibility between
Yeah.
Google Workspace and the built-in or the native Mac apps, I've been burned by that. I don't remember a few years
Yeah.
ago, I was using Mail. So for a while, I used a native Mail app on the Mac,
Yeah.
and then something
Hmm.
happened, and either email wouldn't synchronize or it would take too much time,
Yeah.
and I was fed up, and
Hmm.
I realized, okay, so they don't play well together, right?
Right.
And that's when I decide, okay, so when I do Gmail, because I also have a Google Workspace account for the company,
Hmm.
I have a Google profile, and
Hmm.
that's it. Right? I have my EasyTech profile, I have a Macpreneur profile. When I want to do Gmail, Google Calendar, whatever for EasyTech, I fire up that profile in Google Chrome also. Even though it works
Hmm.
with any other Chromium, I think it's still best to use Google Chrome, because at the same time, when you're logged in with your Google account or Google Workspace account, you have bookmark synchronization and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So there are some advantages,
Hmm.
and that is nice actually to have a profile with a Google Workspace account, because when I get a new Mac, or when I get a new Mac and I just install Chrome,
Hmm.
sign in with my Google Workspace account, and everything
And
comes
everything's
back.
back.
all the
Yep,
all the
your history, your
extensions.
cookies. I mean, yeah, extensions, it all just pops right in. And I'm a huge user of profiles. I have 12
Wow.
profiles right now because I've got some different client projects going on. And so we often do data migration. So our thing is organizing people's email files, passwords, and project management. And so because organization sometimes means big data transfers, we need to use other tools, which means it's not just practical to download the content to their machine and then upload it somewhere else. So we'll do a migration. I have to gather logins for that. And so I use a totally different profile so it doesn't sign me out of my accounts and load up other people's automatically. And it just keeps things so clean. And then when I'm done with the project, I trash the profile and all their stuff is off
Mm,
my machine. It's just so
yeah,
nice.
yeah. I think it's one of the underutilized feature of Google Chrome, but
Yeah.
same thing with Edge. But then it's for Microsoft accounts. So for people who are in
Hmm.
the Microsoft 5 ecosystem, whatever we just talked
Hmm.
about with Shawn, you do the same, but with Microsoft Edge on the Mac. And
Yeah. Yeah. And if anyone wants to learn more about those profiles, I did a Q&A for my clients, I don't know, a few months ago or so, and recorded all of that. So it's basically 5 things of really efficiently using your web browser, from how I do bookmarks, use Chrome profiles, the extensions, using Notes app and screen captures. So there's some really good stuff. So you can just email me if you're interested in that, and I can send it your way.
Or I could even put it in the show notes, right? If you send me the link after the episode, I can put it in the show notes.
Yeah, that'll be perfect. We'll put that in there.
Very good. What tip or trick did you discover on your Mac recently that you wished you knew before? I know it's going to be a hard one for you, but let's try.
Yes, it's using the Option key. So using the Option key to skip between words. So, and also delete one word at a time instead of having to delete character by character or using an entire line. So I was so often using the up and down arrow keys to move my cursor, and then I would use Shift Command, left, right, up, down to highlight all from that point of the cursor. But I didn't realize before I could just use Shift Option and then use the arrow keys to just highlight a few words, or Option Delete was the big one of, I could just delete one word at a time. So it's been nice, as I'm a real stickler on naming conventions for my files. And so being able to edit a name that someone else gave me, or if I'm renaming a file that's very similar to something else, it's the same naming convention, except I'm changing one piece. And so it's just quicker to get there like that.
Yeah. It's quicker than going character by character. Yeah, with the Option key, you do word by word, basically. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Talking about the Option key, that's something I need to remind myself to check more often. Is the Option key before, on all the keyboard, it was called the Alt key. And Alt to mean alternate. And so something that I try to do now, and I try to remind myself to do it, is whatever keyboard shortcut or action I can do somewhere, press the Option key and you will see some additional options, right? So one that is nice in preview, right? You can rotate a picture. I don't remember now about if it's rotate 90 degrees left or 90 degrees right. But basically the button is just one direction. And so if you want to go the other way, you would have to press 3 times normally, or 3 times to get it what you want.
Yeah, 3. Yeah.
But if you press Option and you click, Option means rotate in the other direction.
Oh, interesting. On the US keyboard, you have to do Command. It's usually Command will switch it around. For me, I feel like what they really should have done is made the Alt key Control. Control should have been Alt, because Apple calls a right click a secondary click, or alternate options. And so instead of holding Control to see the secondary options, it should have just been Alt for alternative. So, but what do you do?
Very good. We're almost at the end of the show. And so if you were in charge of the Mac division at Apple, what would be your first priority?
The Mac division. It's not software?
Yeah, you could oversee hardware and software. Yes.
Okay. One of my biggest gripes is the ability to back up cloud accounts. And so when we use Time Machine to back up our Macs, if you're using iCloud, Dropbox, Google Drive, anything, and you're not physically downloading the file or making it available offline, then it won't back up to your Time Machine drive. And so many people are thinking that they're backing up their computers, but really it's like an iPhone backup, or not quite an iPhone. The opposite of an iPhone backup. It's backing up your applications and your settings, but not actually like the majority of the data, because it's so often offloading data and it's just streaming by default. Like my Google Drive, because I use almost exclusively shared drives. Even for my personal stuff, I use a shared drive to share with my wife. None of that stuff gets backed up and none of it gets downloaded. I wish that we could turn that on and then click a button in Time Machine's preferences to say download and put all of this stuff onto my external drive automatically. And then as it sees changes, just download the copy and put it on the hard drive. We don't need to put it actually on the Mac. We just want to make sure that it's backed up. So that would be kind of the biggest thing that I would want to change, and then make that cloud sync a little bit more reliable and faster, because what is it? File provider is the new protocol that they switched for Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive to all sync to our Macs, and even iCloud. It's all the same protocol, which is nice for consistency, but we're 3 years into it and it still has some issues here and there.
Yeah, I'm still behind operating system wise, so I'm still on Sonoma on my MacBook Pro and Venture on the iMac. But I've heard that Sequoia now is implementing a new iCloud sync protocol that should be faster, in the sense that now iCloud should only upload the Delta version of files rather than re-uploading the full files, which is the reason why it's so slow on older operating system version, macOS versions.
Interesting. Yeah. I've really been unhappy with how iCloud's file sync works between devices and sharing and everything. It's just not quite as good as it needs to be, and especially if, say, we're trying to consolidate someone's files into Google Drive, and they've been using iCloud storage the entire time. It can be really difficult, and there's no option to use something like Cloud HQ to sync contents of iCloud Drive anywhere else. So it has to download physically onto the Mac to then move. But once you initiate that download, it's like you can't stop it. Once it gets going, like you have to. Anyway, it's a real mess.
Yeah. I don't know for the other. I think for the other it works as well. But so for Google Workspace, the way I do a local backup, a physical backup of all my data, is through my Synology NAS.
Yep,
Yeah, so
I do too. I've got a Synology NAS, and then I'm probably going to go back and set up Spanning Sync again anyway, just for email synchronization downloading everyone's emails, contacts, calendars, and then we'll see if I end up doing their individual My Drives, because I can get a little more expensive when you add up more data. But I do like the Synology. It's local. I own it. It's just nice peace of mind.
And then otherwise, Carbon Copy Cloner. It's an app that I'm using to actually again I do a backup of my Synology onto another external hard drive connected to my Mac. And so Carbon Copy Cloner, I have to double check starting from which version. But you can tell it to do some backup of cloud storage systems, and it will force the download.
Oh, very nice.
So
I'll have to look into that, because I haven't used Carbon Copy Cloner in a long time since we've been doing so much more cloud-based stuff. But yeah, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
I used to use it all the time.
Yeah. I ended up purchasing how do they call that? Company license or
site license,
or
usually
commercial license or something like that. When I was doing some Apple consulting, I've stopped doing that now, but when I was doing that, it was super handy. I could install it legally on any machine of my client, quickly do a clone backup, reinstall or stuff like that, and then uninstall the app from the computer. But I could then install it on any number of computer, because you're right. There is a site license, and that's for within a company. And then there is a license for people like us, like a consultant, who go and help clients Yeah.
Yeah, I used it a good bit, and one of my favorite things about it, and they stopped the ability to do it, but in the day when I was doing a lot of SSD upgrades, so someone come to me with an iMac or MacBook Pro with a standard hard drive, I'd pop an SSD in there, and I never like to just clone somebody's data from one drive to another. Usually by the time they got to me, their operating system's kind of messed up, things are slow, everything's like, I want a fresh operating system and I want to reinstall everything fresh, pull the files over and organize the files while we're doing it. I called it reboot. So in the day, I could install Mac OS on a partition on another SSD. So then I would plug both SSDs, the new one in a cradle, and then my other one into the Mac, and I could just clone one to the other. So it would take 3 minutes to install an operating system on an SSD, and then I just pop it into the computer, and it was so fast. It saved me a bunch of time rather than sitting there for an hour for waiting for it to download, and then another hour to an hour and a half to actually install the operating system and the whole thing. It was just 3 minutes, and then I don't remember what operating system it all stopped, and you had to install them fresh. And then at that point, I just downloaded the installers. So at least I didn't have to wait, but it still took a while, about 30 minutes onto an SSD to install the operating system for that particular Mac.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you very much, Shawn. So where can people find you online?
Yeah, so we're at thedigitalorganizer.com. And if you go to thedigitalorganizer.com/Macpreneur, I have a file organization guide. So if you are interested in cleaning up your stuff, you got things all over the place and you want to consolidate them, get it organized with a really good folder structure, great archiving convention or strategy and naming convention and everything, I've got all of it laid out. And that's what we normally take our clients through. So if you want to go and self-implement and learn that, just go to that link and then we'll give you another one for what is it? The browser tips and everything. Pretty easy.
We'll put all of that in the show notes. If, like Shawn, you would like to share how you are using your Mac to run your solopreneur business, it's simple. Just visit macpreneur.com/apply. If you are already on Podmatch, just click on the button and you will land on the show profile. Otherwise, fill the application form and I will get back to you within a few days. Once again, it's macpreneur.com/apply. In the comments below, please share your main takeaway from this episode. And if not done yet, please subscribe to my channel so you will get more helpful tips on how to run your business on your Mac. And until next time, I'm Tamir Strauss, wishing you a great day.
Thank you for watching the Macpreneur podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, please leave a comment and share it with a friend right now.